Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How are the breakouts? They okay? If you didn't like them, just keep it to yourself. But if you did, tell somebody about it. Just kidding. Actually, we'll have evaluations, but we'll get to that later. So welcome back. Welcome back. We're in the home stretch. Home stretch. Everybody alive, awake, and enthusiastic? Yes. Who's got a nap on their schedule for later this afternoon? Yes. Who's going to take a nap, but it's not on your schedule this afternoon? You just know it's inevitable. Yes. I have a wonderful picture that I snapped of my two grandfathers when both sides of the family were together, both sitting in lazy boy chairs sleeping because they just couldn't carry the conversation. One of my favorite photos that I have. All right, so we're going to play another game. We're going to play another game. Real easy. It's an all play. These are my favorite kind of games. Everybody gets to play. And I'm sticking with the Olympic vibe that we have going on. And so if you know your Olympics and the history of the Olympics, you are going to be in a position better off than others, because the name of this game is called Olympics, Real or Fake. Real or fake. Let's put it up on the screen. Olympics, real or fake. Here's how this is going to work. All you got to do is choose whether or not this Olympic sport is real or fake, was real or fake. Over the past 2,700 years, some really odd sports have been included in the Olympic Games. Your job is to guess which sports are real or fake. So how do we do this? Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. And all you got to do is tell me if this was real or if this was fake. All right? Option number one on my frozen screen is, there's back, tug of war. Was tug of war ever an Olympic sport? If you say real, give me a thumbs up. If you say, I don't think so, give me a thumbs down. The correct answer is real. That was a real Olympic sport. Good thing for those of you who got it wrong that was a practice round. That was a practice round. Here we go. The real round. Underwater hockey. Underwater hockey. Is or was underwater hockey ever an Olympic sport? We've got thumbs down, a couple thumbs up. This is fake. That is fake. It is a sport, but it's not an Olympic sport. Next round. Pigeon shooting. Pigeon shooting. Is or was pigeon shooting a Olympic sport? Lock it in. The correct answer is, it's real. It's a little deceptive because I don't think they're actually shooting real pigeons, but clay pigeons, yes. All right. You might have got sucked into that one. All right, ostrich racing. Ostrich racing. Was this or is this a real Olympic sport? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Right. It looks like we're about 50-50 on this one. That's fake. Sorry. You've got a great imagination, but it's not true. It's not true. How about this? Water skiing. Water skiing. And perhaps the two most tan people you've ever seen in water skiing history. All right, thumbs up, thumbs down. That is real. That is real. If you said real, you are still in the game. Next one, rope climbing. Rope climbing. My son, if this is in the Olympics, my son could be there someday. Rope climbing, lock it in, up or down, mixed reviews. That's real. You could have a gold medal in rope climbing. Love that. How about this? Shin kicking. Shin kicking. When's the last time you've ever had a good shin kick? That is fake. That is fake. There's never been shin kicking. How about dueling pistols? Dueling pistols. Is that or has that ever been an Olympic sport? Real, friends. That is real. That is real. All right. And how about croquet? Croquet. Has this ever been, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 4 or 5 of you left. We got opposites. We got 3 in the game. 2 say up, 1 say down. It is real. That gets us down to 2 and 1 category left. Was wife carrying ever an Olympic sport? They both say no. So they're either both going to get knocked out or they're both going to be our winners. That's fake. That's fake. You are our winners. Congratulations. That's how you play Olympics. So the prizes that I have for you two ladies is, I put it back here behind the puzzle piece. This is all the rage. This is all the rage. We got crumble cookies. Crumble cookies for the two of you. Don't share it with friends. Don't share it with friends. It's all yours. Oh, there was 3. There was a 3rd one. Oh, Rachel, come on up. Come on up. Rachel, actually, I have one for you also. These are heavy. Raise your hand if you've never had a crumble cookie before. You've never had a crumble cookie. I'm telling you, these are the rage. This weighs about 5 pounds right there. And actually, that doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. Raise your hand again if you've never had a crumble cookie. All right, this is how we do it at Thrive. Bring in the crumble cookies. Crumble cookies for everybody. You get a crumble cookie, and you get a crumble cookie, and you get a crumble cookie. Everybody gets a crumble cookie today. That's how we do it at Thrive. Everybody. Sorry, online family. There will not be a knock on your door. But if you get here real quick, we may have some stored somewhere in the building for you. Crumble cookie all around. If you don't like the one you've got, change with a friend. Swap out. I know there's a variety. As the crumble cookies are being delivered, I'm gonna draw some names for 4 more winners. 4 more winners. And the first one will receive $45 certificate to Red Robin. Say it with me. Yum. $45 to Red Robin is gonna go to Terry Cross. Terry Cross. How do they do that? How do they do that? Terry, what's your secret? What do you and your wife do?
It's the first time that's ever happened.
Wow. It's a new day, Terry. It's a new day. He says we never win anything. I have a $50 gift certificate to the OG. To the OG. Where friends gather. That's the Olive Garden. Olive Garden. All right. Are you guys nervous? Ooh, somebody knows how to crumble. They know how to crumble. Lori Cross. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Sue Pelto. Sue Pelto. You have a strategy, don't you? There's a distinct strategy in some of these folds. My wife thinks that she has that down. We'll see. All right. $75 to the Cheesecake Factory. To the Cheesecake Factory. Let's see. You get 1 slice of cheesecake. Yeah, exactly. This is going to Himanshu. Himanshu. Where's Himanshu? There. Hey. And he deserves it because he's working so hard back there on the board. You deserve it, my friend. I got one left. And it's a cool hundo. A cool hundo to Chili's. 100 smackers to Chili's. And if you're not in their e-club, sign up for their e-club before you go because you get a free drink or free app or free chips. So do that and get the most out of that. All right. This is the last drawing, by the way. This is the last drawing of the day. So I want to make it fair. And this is going to Andy Lapovich. Andy, I've seen him. There he is. Congratulations. Can you use this? Thank you, Jesus. That's the attitude. Give credit where credit is due. All right, before we slide into worship and hear from our speakers who we heard from last night, we have Charlene is going to come back up, give us an update from our mission moment. There she is. She's cruising. Welcome, Charlene. Oh, she's got a calculator. She's got Post-its. Ready to go.
All right. So we had set a goal to be able to purchase a vehicle for our friend Jessica. Do we happen to have a picture of a vehicle back there? Yeah, let's throw that up there. This is the vehicle that they have waiting for us at Christie Motor. Friends, we are now $400 away from this. You guys are awesome. I am trying not to respond with tears. This will radically change Jessica's life. And it's because you guys came and gave generously, and I thank you. And we hope that we'll get this car and we're gonna send out a picture of Jessica and her kids in their new ride so that all of the attendees can see that. Thank you. $400 then, we're in, let's do it. And we've got Pav.
Guys, are you enjoying this day? Enjoying this conference so far? Has it been good? I know, like, the crumble cookie made it all worth it, wasn't it? It was really good. And all of you at home, I'm sorry. That was really good, the crumble cookies. I almost feel like we need to give it a 5-minute break and just enjoy these cookies, right? But hey, let's stand and let's worship together again. Of Abraham, you're the God of covenant, of faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Sing it out. Great is your faithfulness to me, and great is your faithfulness to me. portion. Come on, let's lift it up. And we are his portion, and he is our prize. Drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. Come on, can we make this a little bit louder? And heaven meets earth like an usher sinking. And my heart turns violently inside of my chest. I don't have time to maintain these when I think about the way that he loves us. Oh, come on, Chase. And oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us. One more time, make it personal. Say, oh, how he loves me. And oh, how he loves me. Oh, how he loves me. How he loves me. Jesus, you love me. Gave your life. You shed your blood. So I am yours. Jesus, I am yours. All my days and all of my life, I'm yours. Loves me, loves me, he loves me. Thank you, Father God. Thank you for your love, God. This morning we just thank you, reminding us how loved we are. Thank you for the blood that was shed for me, Jesus. I just thank you. Thank you that I am redeemed by your blood. So this morning as we're singing these simple words, they're the core of the gospel, that you love me so much, you love us so much. You died on my behalf, on our behalf, so that we may be righteous in you, made whole and restored fully and completely. I just pray that every one of us will embrace that truth today. that we're righteous in you. Our identity is restored in you. We're sons and daughters of God, redeemed by your blood. And so we love you. We worship you for that, God. We worship and honor you. We pour our hearts before you. And we say thank you today. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. Can we give the Lord a shout of praise one more time for his goodness and his love? Come on. Amen. 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 You guys may be seated, and we're going to continue here.
We're going to take a moment to set up here. We're going to do a little interview with Ben and Crystal. So Ben and Crystal, if you'd like to join us on stage. I just want to say a couple things before we jump into this. If you see somebody in a Thrive shirt, would you give them a high Thrive at some point and just say thank you for this weekend? They have done a great job from sound to the planning to everything. And you know, if you're new to Plymouth Covenant Church, I am too, and this has been really humbling to be able to be a part of this experience, and just to get to see how you guys use a catalytic moment like this to propel the church forward. I don't know what's coming to Hennepin County, but it's going to be big, I feel like. So anyway. Hey, so, you know, there's been this story that there's been a whirlwind planning on this weekend, and this wasn't necessarily on our script. And the more you'll get to know me, the more you'll find out I have a lot of friends, and hopefully they'll get to hang out with us a little bit. Ben and Crystal are two of my good friends, and I have known Ben and Crystal for well over 20 years. Benjamin's older sister, Sarah, is married to a very good friend of mine that I went to college. We all went to the same college together. Ben knew me when I had hair, and I knew Ben when he had even more hair, and he was in a rock and roll band. So, yeah. So, anyway, I'm really glad that you guys are here, and I knew what their story is, and I can tell you for the last 20 years, the only thing that's changed is their depth and their love for God and one another. They have always been that. And, man, when you hit 50, everything gets emotional, doesn't it? It's like, oh, what's going on? Ben and Crystal when they traveled in this band, and we used to have them come play. You know, the concert could get done late at night, and Ben and Crystal would sit around and talk to high school students and college students until they were done. And then they would hop in a 15-passenger van, probably not shower, because that's cool, and they would go do it again somewhere else. And I can tell you that their heart for God and their heart for ministry, it's authentic, and it's deep. And it's deep, and it's only gotten deeper. So I love you guys to death. I'm going to hug you later. But we need to do this interview because we've got people here and online. So yeah. I know, I'm sorry. I'm always like this, you know. So, hey, so we're going to talk a little bit about just this idea of this holy purpose today. And as you heard last night, there was just a real candid conversation about our pursuit of God and our pace with God. And let me just start with this question that's not really anything we've talked about. Why do you want to talk about that? Why do you want to cap this off tonight on this? Can we start on that?
Yeah. I think we'll talk your ear off about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you go.
I think for us, it's because to me, at this point, it just makes sense. It makes sense that like a holy pursuit and a holy pace, it naturally opens our eyes to the holy purposes all around us. These moments that we're invited into. And I think that for us, we can't help but think about all the ministry that we're leaning into with the Brave Way Home and what it's unfolding to be. And so it's just a heaviness on our heart that we want to invite people to a completely different perspective than what the world is inviting people to. And a heart posture that's different. A heart posture that embraces that God is at work. I think we will find ourselves pulled into all these different directions like we were talking about last night, and it keeps us from being present in those moments with people. And so if we can't be present, And we miss a lot of the things that we're purposed to be a part of. And it doesn't mean, I know, I don't want it to be like that weight and that pressure of how sometimes people will frame it as like, you could be the only Jesus or the last Jesus, right?
Yeah.
That somebody meets and you're just like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of expectation. And I would just be the guy that says, instead of feeling the weight of that, just choose to be the first. Like, look at it from that perspective that says, before my feet hit the floor in the morning, I know when I wake up, I know two things. Jesus hasn't come back yet, and that means that there is mission at hand. And that could look like anything, from the way that I speak truth into her heart in the morning, or over our children's heart, or our neighbors, or anyone else that are, when I think of our neighbors, I think of the people who are walking their golden doodles that seem to be so much better behaved than ours. Like, but how we look for these purposeful moments with people, because we're looking at it from the lens that we're here. We're here. We're not somewhere else. We're here. And God has mission in that.
I think there's just a natural progression when you think about holy pursuit and where God is calling us and what he has set before us. And then you think about a holy pace and how God walks with us, sustains us, transforms us. And then there's just this natural outward way, this purpose that we step into as we're being transformed to share, to be the love of Jesus to the world around you as we go. So I think it's just a natural way to walk out what God has done by giving us the promise of heaven, giving us the presence of Jesus to walk with us, transform us, and then giving us the opportunities to live out what he is doing in us.
Awesome. So let's jump into this holy purpose. And when we're talking about holy purpose, what do we need to begin to understand of that intention and that reason that we're talking about holy purpose?
For us, one of my favorite verses is Ephesians 2:10. It is that God has ordained things in front of us. And I'll just find it real quick and read it actually in the best words. For we are God's masterpiece, and he has created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. But God has set opportunities in front of us. We get the choice whether to say yes or no, to lean in or to pull back. And so when I look at what God has given me and how God is walking with me, it makes me want to give him my yes every time. So whether or not I feel equipped or qualified or experienced, if I know that God has purposed me for it, I'm going to step into it. I'm going to give him my willingness.
It's incredible. I love that word that's used in Ephesians 2. You are God's masterpiece. And I don't think we always see it as that way. We don't always recognize that God's brushstrokes are all over us, and we are a one-of-a-kind moment for the world to be able to see his work through. So,
Yeah, I think it pulls our hearts to the why behind the what. Like if you think about your day to day, like it's filled with a lot of whats, right? Like what you have to do, what somebody else wants you to do, what has to get done, all these different things. And there's a why that drives that. And we'll sometimes get caught up in the what or the how. Like, how am I going to pull that off, right? Like how, like, or even the when is that supposed to happen? All those other questions. But I think to me, it reminds us that there is purpose in every bit of it. And the way we lean into that why, that it speaks to our aim, it speaks, I think, to the opportunity we have to be conduits of the kingdom. Language that we will often find ourselves using is how we just want to pour out what God's poured in. And you maybe have already gathered this from us. We got nothing to give you but Jesus. That's what we got. But that's enough because that's all you need. There's no pretense here. We're not polished. We're not pro level this or anything like that. We just know we need Jesus deeply. And we're thoroughly convinced you do too. And there's something about saying that out loud and living that out loud with our lives that makes the grace and the truth and the tension we're all living in make more sense of why we're still living in it. Because of all of the yet to become believers that are waiting to encounter the goodness of God through the people of God. And so for us, yeah, we're conduits. He pours in, we pour out. The jars of clay stuff, right? Like, they're empty unless God pours in. And if we aren't allowing the overflow to actually overflow, well then maybe we're missing some of our moments. So conduits of the kingdom, conduits of the kingdom, conduits of the kingdom. It always to us comes back to that.
When, I think about that, obviously I'm thinking about electrical, electricity going through, simple terms like that. And I'm reminded that that's really what discipleship is what God's doing in you is doing through you. But you guys use some language about radiating God's glory when you talk about conduits of kingdom. Can you unpack that a little bit more about what you mean by radiating God's glory?
Just that our purpose as people is to radiate God's glory. That is the core of why we are here in this world. And I always kind of view it almost as like we are the arteries that pump God's blood out into the world. And it's a privilege, and it's a choice whether or not you're going to open up to what God is pouring into you and open up to let him pour out. It's a choice.
Yeah, even when you have no idea what's on the other side of that yes. Like, I think often of how we have no idea how God intends to use our faithfulness, right? Sometimes the picture gets painted that you have to do these huge, like big, monstrous, faithful things. And maybe what he's inviting us into are all these little moments that require a yes that lead to those other yeses. And you have no idea how God intends to use them. You just know that he will, right? Because our salvation is not even the end game. It's his glory, right? The end game is that God would receive all of the glory. That's how this whole thing plays out. We live in a world that is competing for that. And if we're going to be the people of God living on mission with a holy pursuit, a holy pace, embracing the holy purpose of all of it, well, then we will not be the ones competing for that glory. We will be the conduits of the kingdom, reflecting that, radiating that, so that in the same way, like when Paul is talking about like in his weakness, right? Like what happens when we are weak? There's nothing competing for the strength of God in our lives. Nothing. Yeah. And so my heart always wants to go back to that heart posture. And I look at what we're getting to be a part of, and even when I say that, it's like there's this vision and this mission that he set before us, and the reality is we have no idea what will come of it, but the conviction is so deep that we must do this. Well, that's all we know. And we're going to lean into that. And that in so many ways is the story of the brave way home. It's that at every corner, if you look at the journey of discipleship, it's always going to come back to choices that require, just as Crystal was saying, a yes or a no or a not now. But he's inviting us to the yes.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. That's great. It reminds me of Paul's statement in Philippians, we shine like stars. Yeah. And it's not when we outperform the person next to us, but it's very much when we're giving glory, being obedient to God. Those are the moments. And I think about the skies up here are just dark as all get out at night. And when the stars come through, it's a reminder of that's who we're called to be. We're in the backdrop of everything that God is doing. And when he's getting glory, those are those moments. So let's get practical for a moment, okay? Because I think sometimes we can spend a lot of time talking about what God's doing and a lot of the idea of this. But specifically, how does a holy purpose get lived out in real life? When you start thinking about it, and you shared a bit of your own story and you've walked through some bits and pieces. So I think for most of us, we're like, okay, can we get some handles on some things that have come out of life? And if that's through telling some of your story, if that's through some specific direction you've got, we're here ready to take some ideas and notes and start applying some things. So the question is, how does holy purpose get lived out in real life?
My turn. One of the first things when we were praying over what we wanted to share with you, we couldn't help but think of something, like when we were sharing last night about our Team Woods culture code. So much of that is to connect the heartbeat that what God has entrusted to our care to, how does this actually play out in our home? If we're going to create a culture of discipleship in our home and in our life and in the circles that we're in, then we want to put wheels on this, right? And so one of those practical expressions is, again, more language that comes with real-time action. And I can't help but think of look out for the left out. And the story of that for us, a little bit, every morning, so our kids don't ride the bus. And part of that is because I just want every last minute I can get. And I'm going to fight for it to make sure if I get 6 more minutes because I leave a little bit later so that I get to take my kids to school and Crystal. And so on the way to school every morning with Kala, we would pray together. And we would pray on this same street, Carver Street. And what was so crazy is we'd take turns. We'd just pray. One morning it'd be me, next morning it'd be her. And then Kala says this. She just goes, Daddy, we should start praying for all of these families that we're driving by their homes. And the preacher driving the van was like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should start doing that. And so we started praying for these families. And it started with this. I could take you to the exact spot where I was. And it was my turn to pray. And as I was praying over my Kala, that the way she would embrace her day, that God's fingerprints would be all over it, what came out of my mouth was, God, give her the eyes to look out for the left out. And it just stuck. And it became one of the ways that practically we were going to choose to live as a family. And so for us, what unfolded from there was, okay, a prayer life that said, God, open our eyes to the needs of others. Open our hearts so that we can, or open our eyes so we can not only just see the needs of others, but open our hearts so that we can feel the needs of others. And open our hands that we would take action and do something about it and meet the needs of others. And so our practical expression is look for those moments and lean into those moments and then act on those moments. Who are the people that you have maybe chosen to not have eye contact with because you're hurried, right? Like whether it's a cashier or a server at a restaurant or the DoorDash person that you're told to not open the door. And then it's like you get that little notification that says, if you interact with them. And then it gives you the instructions, right? I don't know, maybe you don't use DoorDash. But I know, like in my mind, I'm like, I want to go out and say hi to them. But the thing tells me not to, it on a practical level to me, it can be as simple as pursuing those moments, not just waiting for those moments to land in your lap. But it can also be taking continual action that serves people that you've yet to meet. Whether it's sitting by somebody or speaking into them, encouraging them. It really can be that big or that small if you lean into it. You good with that?
So unpack this, look out for the left out idea a little bit more, because I know it's about hearts and eyes, and I've heard you talk about this in the past. Talk to me a little bit more about look out to the left out and just where that fits, about love and its choice for our
I don't want to take anything from you, but my mind goes straight to the little things. How, if our eyes are open, we'll see the people in a different way. I can't help but think of a time when I was serving on staff at a church and being at a doorway, greeting people. And there's something about watching people come into church from a parking lot where you visibly see just in their countenance what they're carrying or what they're trying to convince you they're not. Sometimes, depending on your line of sight to the parking lot, you might have even got to witness the pull yourself together moments, like stop acting like that, act like you got some sense, moments before they're like, hey, yeah, But if you've ever seen somebody walk in from a parking lot and almost turn around because of how hard it is to just walk into a space, it will remind your heart that you have no idea what other people are carrying, but you can seize those moments if your eyes are open. And so I can't help but think of all of these little intersections that God gives us with other people to look out for the people who you can just see in their countenance. There's nobody pursuing them. There's nobody wanting to know them. There's nobody that has included them and looking for the ways to speak, even if it's a brief moment, a truth over their heart. And so I think it's very much, it happens everywhere you go, because as you go, so goes the gospel, right? Wherever you are. Like as you are going, you are carrying the gospel with you. So let that pour out of you. Let that spill out of you.
I think with Look Out for the Left Out, it's about intention, about actually opening your eyes past what your own experience is, and when you're looking for opportunities that God has prepared in advance for you, and praying for those, then you start to see opportunities coming because you believe that they are there. It's all about the intention of looking for it. So I think that's important.
That's great. I think, open eyes, open hearts, open hands is a phrase that you guys talk about, and being, making sure that you're just fully open and surrendered. But take this a little bit deeper, maybe even, this is real nice, and it's like, oh yeah, we're going to look out for people and stuff. But why does it matter so much to the Woods family? I mean, knowing the moment Kyla was rescued and the mark that puts on your life a little bit, what does it do with anchoring life in the present, knowing that you're looking towards eternity? How does that begin to shape and fuel who you guys have become even more? Did it amplify it? Did it crush it? Can we talk about that for a moment?
Like I said, I think that there's a natural progression between holy pursuit, holy pace, and holy purpose. And that's not just like an arbitrary truth that we're just relaying. That's something we've lived and something God has done in us, where we were face down in the middle of a storm and had no idea what God could do with that kind of pain, with this kind of a reality. And God just was faithful when we leaned into his word to remind us this is not the end. This is not home, but there is a home. There is a holy pursuit. There is a way forward. And when we kind of grasped that, then we kind of remembered, felt the sustaining peace of God and how he is actively working in us, giving us strength, giving us the strength to want what he wants, where it's remembering that God is still pouring into us. God is still doing that. And when he does that, remembering the third piece, that he has a purpose for us as we walk it out. And so that we got to a point where we just looked at God and said, can you still use us? Is there anything left for us that you want us to walk into? And I think the purpose that he gave us, he not only gave us a vision for how we could walk it out, he gave us this like intense love for people around us. And there he gave us a heart for, as we are walking through, choosing to walk toward the promises of God, allowing him to transform us from the inside, then he gave us this love for other people who are in the same struggle, on the same journey, this heart for people to just like want to run to them. And when they are struggling up this hill or in this valley or in this storm, just grab them and say, there is more ahead. Don't give up. Keep going. Some of my favorite verses in Isaiah is, the sovereign Lord has given me his words of wisdom so that I know how to comfort the weary. And there's just that pull to these people in the same trenches that you just want to push up and pull up and encourage on. And so that is the heart that kind of shaped the vision and the mission of the Brave Way Home, which is just to call and equip fellow wayfarers to deeper living. So our eyes are fixed on Jesus, our heart is set on heaven, we walk home together. And so there's just been a natural way that God has been like done this in our own lives. And as we're writing Holy Purpose and Holy Pace and Holy Pursuit, it's not like it's a new idea. It's something God has worked out in our lives. It's something God is working out in your lives, and it's in his word. Do you have that message?
I got NIV.
Okay, let me find it. You can talk while I find it.
No, I can pull it up real quick. Do you want to read it?
You go
I'm
for
fast. I'm trying to be fast. There you go.
I don't really have a message translation, but Ephesians 4 talks about how we are to live a life worthy of our calling, in my translation, in the one I usually read. And then I looked it up in the message, and here's what it says. In light of all this, here's what I want you to do. Paul is writing from prison, so he says, while I'm locked up here, a prisoner from the master, or for the master, I want you to get out there and walk. Better yet, run on the road God called you to travel. I don't want any of you sitting around on your hands. I don't want anyone strolling off down some path that goes nowhere. And mark that you do this with humility and discipline, not in fits and starts, but steadily, pouring yourself out for each other in acts of love, alert at noticing differences and quick at mending fences. You are called to travel on the same road and in the same direction, so stay together, both outwardly and inwardly. You have one master, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who rules over all, works through all, and is present in all. Everything you are and think and do is permeated with oneness. And it's not new gospel. This is already written in his word. There is a holy pursuit we walk toward. There is a holy pace as he transforms us as we go. And there's a holy purpose for us to walk it out in love for each other.
And I would just add, and I don't even know if I should, because I just want to amen to that. The heart of a wayfarer doesn't want to leave anybody behind. Because you know the great joy that's ahead, right? I mean, that's why we share the love of Jesus. Because when we know his love, we live his love, right? Like, we have this beautiful thing, and it's for everyone. We get to be the hands and feet. And so look out for the left out. For us, there is a deep connection because it belongs to all of our kiddos. Ezra, without question. That dude, his sense of justice, it's fierce. And Lila, she's absolutely pursuant of kiddos at school that nobody sits next to. But I can't ignore the fact that Kala, in this life, has lived that out faithfully and fruitfully and humbly. And so for us, there is that deep connection. But the reality is, it's the heart of a wayfarer. Because that's what wayfarers do. They keep walking, right? Like if you even look up what the word, the richness of that word, they walk through wilderness. I mean, my mind goes to Psalm 23, like when we talk about, we'll hear that often of how you walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It doesn't say you're going to skip it. It doesn't say you're going to be able to work around it. And it definitely doesn't say you set up base camp in it, right? You keep walking. And I love even how the heart of a wayfarer, it even says, like if you research the word, you're walking by foot. Again, you can't fast track this. Well, that means nobody else can either. And if somebody has nobody around them, and your eyes are open, and you're pursuing those moments, then you go to that person so that they don't walk alone. And think about it, when you're out in the wilderness, the trees, the whatever, the cold. I was thinking about the last time we were in Minnesota, and I'm pretty sure it was for Sunshine Festival in Wilmer. And it was like El Scorcho hot. It was 109 degrees. And it was like a rock show, and I'm literally like melting. So interestingly enough, it's not that right now. But when you are on a hike or you're in a park and you're on a trail and it's winding everywhere, allow that metaphor of discipleship in your eyes and in your heart. Think about it. What is the best way to keep walking through the wilderness? But other than to look for the evidence of the people who have walked there before you. We call them trails. But the reality is you look for the evidence of the people who've walked there before you so that you know how to walk through it. And if your eyes are open, then you're going to see all the people that are somewhere else on detours that they maybe didn't realize. The trajectory changed for them. So you pursue them because you're all going ultimately for the same great joy that's ahead. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, this is real practical in this season because while I haven't had your journey, we've all had different journeys, especially COVID has disrupted so much in people's lives. And what was already a problem became an epidemic, I think, with relationships. And we're seeing it show up on so many different levels. And so as you're talking about this, the wayfarers don't go alone. They follow, a great cloud of witnesses that has gone before me. There's all these scriptural thoughts that are just jumping into my mind and heart. And yet, in our brokenness and in our hurt, some of us just sat down by a tree and said, peace, I'm done. I'm gonna wait till somebody comes grab me. Or we've done this, we just need to get a program. We just need to get this back. We just need to get, we went into church ease instead of, there's probably a friend of mine that I've known as a follower of Jesus that I haven't even reached out to. I haven't asked about. I've invited them back to church, but we haven't re-engaged that relationship. And I think that's what's so scary about all this is that the American church experience tends to be so programmatic and tends to be so individualized that we've left some people in the dust. I mean, you've got military background in your families and stuff. I've got military family in my background. And the heartbreak that you see on these grown men and women who have given their lives to a mission to realize those who were forgotten or lost, it stops them dead in our tracks. And when was the last time we were stopped dead in our tracks for somebody who's not on the journey right with us right now, or somebody who's never been invited to the journey?
And that's just something that we've talked about too. We're not calling people to a program. We're calling people to a heart posture. That this should transform the way you live, that God has a place for you that you get to walk toward, that God will walk with you, and God has purposes to walk out what he is doing in you. It's not a program, it's a heart posture.
And I think, just in conversation last night, got to talk about this a little bit, but COVID has likely, in my humble opinion, it has revealed more than it's caused. I mean, there's a lot more, excuse me. I know it can be a hard topic to unpack because so much of the time, all of these things we're like, we don't even know how to be polarized with it because we don't know what's going on with this. Everything's changing and this and that. But I feel like if we're so firmly anchored in the one that we're tethered to, we can be the ones to bring certainty into everybody else's uncertainty. Because that's what happens when heavenly thinking invades earthly living. When we know our present reality is anchored in eternity, Holy Spirit has room to transform the way that we live and the way that we love and the way that we lead others, right? And one thing I think we can acknowledge is that there's a lot of things that we thought were really important that the Holy Spirit never needed to transform lives. And so maybe for the church, we can embrace the reality that everyone is walking through grief of some kind, even if it is just grieving your normal. But we have the opportunity to join the chorus of creation, the groaning for what is to come. And that kind of certainty can breathe new life. Sorry, I moved my hand so much. Breathe new life into a lot of people walking around in grief but haven't been given permission to call it grief. I mean, jobs have been lost. People have been lost. Moments have been lost. Relationships have been lost. We live in a world where people pull in, the garage door goes up, you park inside, garage door goes down, and you go inside, and you don't interact with neighbors as often unless they're walking their golden doodles. And I know the rhythms of my neighbors so that I have a moment to go and see them. Sometimes the only time they see me outside is when I'm picking up dog poop and I'm waving with this bag on my hand because apparently I'm the only one in the family that knows how to do that.
It's your talent. You're so good at it.
Oh, I'm so good at it.
That got real.
Right,
That got real.
right? but like all of these moments, one of the things that we have that's been impressed on our heart is in the context of COVID, when everybody is told, don't be hospitable and don't hang out with people who are. Think about that for just a second. That goes so against Romans 12. And everyone's trying to acclimate to all the different recommendations or requirements or mandates or like all these different things that we don't know what to do with. How do we find a way to have meaningful connection with other people and still honor all these things that are asked of us and that we need to do for other safety and for our safety, all these other things. And one of the things that landed on our heart, back to a practical thing, was we have a tree house. And that tree house is our sacred space. And so we just started inviting people into our sacred space. And the story with the treehouse is simple. Ezra and Kala wanted a treehouse several years ago. I grew up building treehouses with my brother. My dad lost so many tools in our timber, never got them back, building treehouses. But I remember Ezra saying, Dad, I love our home. I'm disappointed in where you bought it. And it's because we don't have trees. Yeah. We don't have a ton of trees. And it's like, doing the best I can. But he had this idea. He's like, Dad, we need to build a treehouse. And Kala was like all about it. And I'm like, guys, we don't have a treehouse tree. And Ezra and Kala walked me out into the backyard to the biggest tree that we have. And he said, Dad, just build it around it and build it up alongside it and let the tree drape over it. It will be good. And I'm like, that sounds like vision. Let's do this. And so I saved up all the wedding honorariums from officiating weddings in the Team Woods Adventure Fund, and we built a treehouse. Yeah. So it is truly built on marriage and family. And we camp out in this thing. We do all kinds of stuff, and it is our sacred space. And what we decided to say is, for the people who don't have it, we have to have these moments because you can social distance. You're in a tree. I mean, like we can spread out. But each of our kiddos have their own floor. And for us, oh yeah, it's legit. I'm telling you. I had 8 weddings, okay? I remember 8 weddings in order to buy the lumber, and that's before lumber prices now. On Cala's floor, that's where we meet with people who aren't ready to walk through the doors of a church because they don't know if they'll be loved there. And we know that they will, but they don't. And so to me, I don't know that this is a season of come and see as much as it is go and tell. It's a both and, right? It's not an either or. Both in the come and see and the go and tell have to be pronounced in the heart of a wayfarer, in people who are in holy pursuit at a holy pace, seeing the holy purpose in the moments. And so for us, we've chosen to just create the space to meet with people and speak truth into their life so that there is a pathway that leads them into the life of the church. We have to be pursuant. We have to.
We're going to need to wrap up in a minute, so I'm going to segue this a little bit, and then we're going to finish off with a grand story or two. So we're going to talk about some of the great impact of the continued ripples after the rescue. And we can do that in a second, so prepare your hearts and minds. One of the things that I love about the transparency, though, is you didn't say it, but I heard it, that you came to a point of decision that the pursuit has to continue. And I think for many of us, we stop at a point where it's just too much. It's just too hard. I need to quit. And I think that we have to be reminded that God has not stopped. God is not shook in this moment. Yeah, we may have to be more creative. We have to be more intentional. But without a pursuit of Jesus, it's just our work. And maybe that's where a lot of us are right now, is just beginning to realize that this surrender before God of taking all that we are and all that we have and just saying, God, have your way in us, is true, whether we're at a passion conference with our nephews or whether we're sitting next to Cala. And I think most of us in the church want to have the grand moments with our nephews, but are begging us not to go through the hard moments with our daughters. And yet that's what Christ went through for us. The sin and shame he bore on our behalf. He took on what we could not bear. And so I think about one of the things that I want to just finish these guys with is not just, honestly, we talked about this a bit. We're not going to go there, but the unfortunate truth about life is the rescuing of Cala is not the final blow. Blows continue to happen. But as the winds come, and the snow flies in our face, and we are frozen to the core in a dark world, there is a warmth and a heartbeat of God's Spirit that says you can go on. And I think people forget that. And so you have gone on, and Cala's ministry has continued through a thing called Slime. So can we talk about that for a second? Can you tell that story?
Yeah. In 2018, in the fall of 2018, I'll even back. I'll say this fast. I try to anyway. So for the past over a decade, I've had the privilege, and Crystal as well, of leading teams of young adults to Tinka, Romania, to work with a ministry called Forget Me Not Ministries that pursues at-risk kids of child marriage and trafficking. Romania has like the second largest child abandonment rate on the planet, and it is like a trafficking corridor. And this is a ministry that is pursuing in these moments. And so I have led teams there repeatedly and gotten to know a lot of kiddos. And they've gotten to know, through FaceTime, our kiddos. And Cala was so determined to get to Romania. And my joke was always, well, I'm gonna just take you, because to take you with a bunch of college-age young adults, I'm going to just want to be daddy on that with you. And so in the fall of 2018, Kala set out to get herself to Romania. And she just said, I'm going to start my own slime shop. And I'm going to sell slime. I'm going to make my own recipes. And I'm going to raise the money to get myself to Romania. And
We were her first employees. She woke up after she launched her store to like 50 orders. And so she was ready to just drop out of school. She was like, well, I can't go to school. I've got all this work to do.
little entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah.
But Kala, as a 9-year-old, raised $1,100 selling slime so she could pay for her plane ticket to Romania.
And our plan was to take her for her 10th birthday. That was in October of 2019. And she was rescued to heaven in July. And in May, I was actually in Romania when Crystal called because the doctors said, get him home now. And so I left leaders to lead a team of young adults home, and I got home. But, you know, it's common to want to find the ways to honor people, right? And I think one of the things that we have found is we don't have to come up with something. Kala already cast a vision for it. And so we've just decided to follow her lead and take her little slime journal and follow her recipes. And I'll share more of this this weekend. But since her rescue, we've made over 1,700 pounds of slime. And it's been shipped to 42 states. And it's in 4 countries. And over $115,000 has been raised for what will be a project in Tinca, Romania called Casa Kala that will serve as a refuge for at-risk girls in needing of a safe place to know the love of Jesus. And we have no idea how many Casa Kalas will come, but it is a beautiful reminder. God only needs your faithfulness because he can do beautiful things even with the stuff that gets stuck in your carpet. But we have seen it as a pathway of people who know Kala and people who know of Kala and people known by Kala to come together and follow her recipes and circle up with their hands in this stuff making slime. And so even in our community, to watch that unfold, these people, you stand back and you watch this room of all these people that have volunteered to step into these moments with you. And as they're digging their hands through and they're following her recipes, they're working not just for purpose, right? They're working through their own grief, right? And God is repurposing it because the end is not the end. And the worst things are not the last things. And great joy is ahead. And so, yes, there are holy ripples unfolding from something as simple as slime because of a little girl who loves Jesus fiercely and chose to lean into those moments on mission.
Okay. Isn't that a great story? That's a good story. So I'm going to say this. They intended to bring merch with us, but you can go to thebravewayhome.com.
Yeah.
And you can buy slime to your heart's content and give it to your grandkids and your neighbors and whatever you want because it's making a difference. You can look out for the Left Out t-shirts. They do have some here. And they're not big merch people. All that stuff goes to create moments of justice and hope in the world that we're a part of. And the rest of the merch is basically stuck somewhere in an ice storm. But you can, if you want any of their stuff or whatever, please go there. But also, they do spiritual coaching. You can go sit in the treehouse. You can process through some things. If your business is looking for people to help take these journeys and walk through this, they do that kind of stuff. And they would never self-promote, and so I'm going to promote for them. But their ministry is just compounding and compounding and compounding with incredibly huge, significant moments of stepping into moments where people are grieving a variety of things right now and helping them be reminded there is a destination and it's not here. And we can live that way. Dan, would you come pray with them? Can you do that? This is my pastor. And Dan is an incredible man of joy. And I've had the privilege of getting to know him. And you've said you've seen him online and how joyful he seems. And
I just wanted to hug him when I saw you online. Yeah. Hey.
I'm going to ask you guys to extend a hand. And Dan?
Father God, I'm overwhelmed with the loss, but also the gain. God, to have a home that we can't even completely appreciate today. Just seems like more and more of my friends are home. I think of this little girl and her legacy that continues today through slime. God, it binds us together, helps us walk together on this journey. Oh God, help us to see that we can always look out for the left out. God, they're all around us. Some of us sit right next to us right now to look out for them on this journey, wayfarers on our way home. For Crystal, for Ben, I pray, God, that you just continue to pour your love into them, bind them together in the middle of the tension of their life, this great loss, this great gain, this holy purpose, God, the pursuit they're on, God. I pray that they might experience your passion each and every day. God, I just sense that they're so real. But when they get tired at night, when they get weary, help them to know that the burden is light with you, that you lift their load. Thank you. Thank you for blessing us today. And God, might we join them on this journey. We are wayfarers together, God, from this point on. To the storms of life, oh God, might you show up in the darkness as light as we share the glory of Jesus everywhere. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
All right. I want to give some thank yous to some people. First of all, Ben and Crystal, right? Did you appreciate them? What a gift they brought to us this weekend. And here's the really cool thing. They're speaking this weekend. Tonight in church, tomorrow in church. They're sticking around. Some of you are saying, Craig, I can't take anymore. I think I'm good. No, you get one more dose. So tonight in church and tomorrow in our 2 services, they're going to be here with us. So we can look forward to that. I want to say thank you to Ashley Island, who took the time, who couldn't be here in person, but put together some messages. Not only the one that we got to view this morning, but also a bonus one that will come your way and that you will have access to after we are done here. Thank you to the worship team who did such an awesome job leading us into the presence of the Lord. They've had a full weekend. To the Thrive team, I'll just say this, I'm not on the Thrive team. Because I'm up front, it looks like that I do a lot of work. I do virtually nothing. These little intervals that I come up here for, they're quick, they're easy. I don't have to put a whole lot of thought into them, so it's not me. But the Thrive team, they have been praying over this and pivoting left and right again to make this happen, and they have worked so hard. So thanks to our Thrive team. Before I let you go, I want you to know that there's some upcoming events in the back of this book. Some really cool things that are happening. Opportunities to not reconnect, but stay connected in the weeks and months ahead. So please take a look at that. Circle them on your calendar so you block those out. There's a survey. We'd love to pick your brain about how we could do better, what you loved, what you'd change, anything. That's going to be coming out in an email within minutes, right? If it's not already in your inbox, it's going to be sent your way within minutes. So please take the time to fill that out while it's fresh on the noggin, and you can really help us out and make this just a really, really cool weekend come next year. The prayer team is still here. They will be in the prayarium there and available. I'll tell you, I'm just going to be honest, I made a pit stop there myself before the session because I need it, and so do you. Let's just be honest. Turn to your neighbor and say, you need prayer. We do, right? Take advantage of the prayer team who is here. We've got a missional update. I see you creeping on up. Come on up and give us the, you want to sit with me or do you want to stand?
I would love to sit with you. So, we have a car that we can fully purchase. And not only that, but we have exceeded the amount. And so what we're going to do with that amount, remember when I talked about the fact that you and I can often just kind of tighten our belt and overcome repairs? That's not the case for Jessica. So we often would not buy a warranty, but we are going to buy a warranty to cover the major parts so she will not be back in this situation again. So again, on Jessica's behalf, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thrive team, am I forgetting anything? Bob, Randy, is there anything that I'm forgetting? Go get your kids, enjoy your weekend. Hope to see you tonight or tomorrow again. Give a high Thrive on your way out, and let's stay connected.
You make all things new. That's just what you do. You're making me new. You make all things new. That's just what you do. You're making me new. You hit the restart. You hit the restart. You hit the restart. You hit the restart. You came along and you hit the restart. Restart, restart, oh, oh, oh. Restart, restart, oh, oh, oh. I was lost, I was falling apart, but you came along. You hit the restart. It's the way you always lead me through the fire and the flood. Your voice breaks the silence, and I will respond. Oh my love, don't let me go. Take me back to where we started from. Oh my love, don't let me go. Oh, take me back. Oh, take me back. take me back. Into the light we come with open arms and open hearts. Into the light we run with open arms and open hearts. Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. Reaching beyond the skies, running deep, stretching wide. Perfect love realized here with you. Come on now. Now this love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. Hands up! This is real love, this is real love. Say this is real love, this is real love. Oh. Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. 1, 2, 3, jump! This is real love, this is real love. This is real love, this is real love. Oh. You're pulling me closer and closer,
This is real love. This is real love. I lived hard on the wire, in the fire for so long. But you showed me better, a new kind of love. It's ever the one I want. I'm lifting you higher, higher. There's nothing that I'd rather do. A sweet elevation, our praises. There's no one I love more than you. I never knew a love like this before. The kind of life that I cannot find on my own. I've seen the world, but I have never been so sure that I want your heart. God, I just wanna be where you are. I just wanna be where your love, like nothing I've seen. My wildest of dreams don't come close. I've never known better than living like this. I cannot resist you, Lord. I'm lifting you higher, higher. There's nothing that I'd rather do. A sweet elevation, our praises. There's no one I love more than you. I never knew a love like this before. The kind of life that I cannot find on my own. I've seen the world, but I have never been so sure that I want your heart. God, I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. And after all this time, with you by my side, I can't imagine what it'd be like on my own. And I've made up my heart, this love is all I've got. You're the only one I know worth living for. A sweet elevation, our praises. There's no one I love more than you. Hey! I never knew a love like this before. The kind of life that I cannot find on my own. I've seen the world, but I have never been so sure that I want your heart. God, I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are. Where you are. I just wanna be where you are.
When I close my eyes, I see past your face, I see past your disguise, I see past your thoughts and into your mind, surrounded by black and white. Gray minds crashing down the sidewalks, the dancer, you wanna swing among the stars, you wanna go the fast way from Jupiter to Mars. So you wanna be a dancer, you wanna swing among the stars, you wanna go the fast way. In a blurry scene, going up, 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 I'm a dancing machine. True sound, true light, makes you believe you're in the universe, or somewhere in between. Floating around like a bubble, open colors, now you are in trouble. Here it goes again, if you wanna dance, dance my friend. Dance till the end, yeah, dance till the end. So you wanna be a dancer, you wanna swing among the stars, you wanna go the fast way from Jupiter to Mars. So you wanna be a dancer, you wanna swing among the stars, you wanna go the fast way. Like a supernova with a big, big bang. You're ending it like a supernova with a big, big bang. So you wanna be a dancer, you wanna swing among the stars, you wanna go the fast way from Jupiter to Mars. So you wanna be a dancer, you wanna swing among the stars, you wanna go the fast way.